welcome back to Take One, where we're having another conversation. And today I'm with Will Mullins and Joseph Altieri.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going? So, gentlemen, if you don't mind telling a little bit about yourselves for the people.
You first.
Man, well, I am Will. Everybody knows me as WEOZ3 in the acting world. I act, write, love commercials, love music. I've been rapping since I could talk. Of course, I only do storytelling rap, so you're not going to hear
it. Was great. Like, what I heard was very good.
We're not going to do that. But, man, I'm just a creative. I'm a free spirit and a creative, and I love to interact with other creatives. So.
Nice. I'm Joseph, whatever you want to call me. And really, I'm just someone who's trying to serve my community by the talents that I've been gifted, and really just trying to work on podcasts, trying to let every creative outlet that I have and give it to people so that they can have connection and realize like they can get through some of the darkest parts of their life.
Right. No, it's interesting because I brought you two together because I thought that both of you are people who trying to figure out basically growing in their own way, essentially, just like in the sense of being like you're exploring yourself in the spiritual sense, and you're trying to accumulate knowledge as much as you can, right?
Well, I mean, I believe that a person who doesn't believe they can learn every day will stop growing immediately when they believe that.
Right.
You must know there's more. And every day you should try to obtain more.
Right. And I absolutely agree with that. I think the problem is that we are so usually stagnated with life, and we're caught up with our jobs and our 9-to-5s and the stresses outside of that we have like a hard time to like take a moment and try to assess ourselves and to try to create ourselves into something different.
I believe that actually has less to do with our jobs and our outside stresses and more to do with the fact we choose to ignore our reality and run from it instead of facing it, instead of facing hard truths and getting off of our phones. Like
right.
we like to numb ourselves more than we like to be uncomfortable. And the more we seek to be uncomfortable, the less control you have over what goes on around you, and you're just kind of going with the flow,
right?
Like in a bad way.
Right.
Again, reiterate what he's saying. I totally agree with what he's saying. I think it's what we base our realities on.
Right.
There are some people who get so involved in their 9-to-5 job that is their reality.
Right.
They don't realize that their self is reality. They are their reality.
Right. Because we have more control of our lives than we think we do. Mm-hmm. Right. That's what it is. And I feel like with technology, especially, that like while it is a benefit in a way that like we're able to like accumulate knowledge that like people from 30, 40 years ago couldn't even dream of, because they would have had to have like access to a good public library, and that's if like your local area would even give the funding for it. And it would take minute hours of like research and cross-referencing versus now it's just on the flip.
We did that. Like when I was in school, we didn't have access to cell phones like that.
Right.
So we actually had to read a lot and cite all of our work.
Right.
And so it's one of those things, though. I think that I read some earlier when it comes to the cell phones. Cell phones bring you closer to people that are farther apart.
Yes.
But it pushes you farther away from the people that are close to you.
Ooh,
that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
And it does. It isolates you from the people that are right next to you. It stops you from being present.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And my goal in life is to be more present every day. So it's against what I believe, essentially, when it comes to being addicted to your phone.
Right.
Like I got rid of social media apps on my phone. I only now go on my computer. Like I have a scheduled time to go on my computer, and social media 2 hours. That's it. 1 in the morning, 1 at night, because there isn't a balance. It's so easy to get caught up in. Like I can say all of this shit all day long, but the second you have my phone with an app on it, I can get sucked in just as easily as the person next to me. It's that addicting.
Right.
Well, I think it's what you're doing on the phones as well. I hate to say it, but our society is a society full of sheep. We follow what we see or what they tell us to follow. That's another reason I hang with creatives. We live in our own world. We create our world. It's watching TV. You're watching somebody else's whatever they're putting out there for you, you're watching that.
Right.
You're watching what they allow you to see, what they're putting out for you to see. And it's certain things in every show. You know, they want to include everything in every show that they want you to see.
Right.
Well, that's
And they
not
push narratives.
Yeah,
right.
push
But
narratives.
That's not your reality.
And also people live vicariously through successes of others, through especially through social media and television.
Well, you see, it creates more fights. It creates more friction than anything. People have been getting killed over a word said on social media.
Right.
But that all comes back to it suppressing our like genuine emotions for such a time that like when you're triggered, all that shit pops off, and then people do get killed over words because they've spent a lifetime having to survive, and they don't know that it's just a word. They feel it's a threat to their actual life.
Right. So let me ask you guys this. Do you feel like this was always part of ourselves and social media and the internet is bringing that up, or is this something that's being newly developed? Because you can make the argument that people did this during the Crusades and the Inquisition. And basically, anytime there was a mass persecution of people, but now you almost view it in the sense that, like, for example, someone says something that's like unorthodox on Twitter or whatever, then like there becomes almost like a dehumanization of this person regarding, you know, like not even looking about.
I do believe there's been a sense of tribalism since the beginning of time.
Exactly.
But we are now seeing it in very different ways and in paces. Like it happens so fast. Like there's no delay with information anymore. So like if someone says something, all of social media is on top of them, and the next thing you know, they're suicidal and have to like the whole nine essentially.
Right.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, I think that society has stepped in way too far. I think the government has stepped in a lot. I think that when it goes to this, I guess it's going to be a tricky thing because when I say laws, why would laws change if they were great?
Right.
Right. So why are we creating things that didn't happen? When I was coming up, we had to fight. Okay, everybody got bullied. They call your names. They talk about your mama. We did your mama jokes.
Right.
Didn't create murders. It created some tough kids.
Yeah.
But it didn't create murders. Parents were allowed to be the parent. They were allowed to discipline. They were allowed to teach to a degree. Now you're not allowed to tell your child no. With that being said, there's an enhanced focus on sensitivity, on what can and cannot be stated by somebody else. I'm not allowed to say certain words, no matter what. I can't sit on here and say certain words or, oh my God, everybody's going to go crazy.
Right.
So now I'm silenced. I can't have an opinion. And if I can't have an opinion out loud.
Right.
See what I'm saying? If I disagree with somebody and they don't like it, if I tell somebody no and they don't like it, they now create a sense of why I said no or why I disagree with them or this or that. So we create a society that I'm going to say allows for
Nourishes.
a spoiled attitude. When I say a spoiled attitude, I mean entitled attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to do that attitude.
Right.
But we ourselves should have some type of discipline. We have to have self-discipline.
Right.
We can't take everything. I mean, I've been called the N-word. I've been called all types of stuff. But then maybe, I got to kill this guy now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because he just made me feel, he broke me.
Right.
With that word, he broke me. And now I have to kill his whole family. That's not how it works.
Right. And you see that a lot more now that people are being more sensitive in that sense. And you can even see, it could be seen as like a cultural shift.
Yeah, but it's said that way. It's made that way. Like if your child is hitting you and you pop your child back, you're going to jail.
Right.
But that gives that child that idea, I can do this. When in reality, when they get to the real world, now that cuteness is going to be seen as something different. It's going to be seen as rage, anger. Now that cute little child is no longer a cute little child. They're an enraged, misunderstood adult.
Right. And this is something that's only been in the recent things, because even if you go back to the 90s, the instances of shootings and mass murders and stuff like these were almost never heard of. And they were talking about a society that had even less gun regulations of the time. But now, even into this day, it was almost, there was a time, I think it was even like around the 2015 age, there was almost one so often that I saw the flag more at half staff than I ever seen it in full staff. And it makes you wonder, like, what the hell did we go wrong?
Well, where's the attitude that when you shoot up a school, you go, I was angry?
Right.
So you went to a school and decided to unleash your anger?
So I just want to say a couple things first. We are still living in like the most peaceful time of all of history. And humans used to be animals and savages.
Right.
So like, just like that's one side of the spectrum. There is another side of the spectrum. And then a lot of what you guys are talking about is what I'm really passionate about, because there has been a decline. And a lot of it has to do with the way we raise our children. But what people don't realize is most of it has to do with the attachment styles that our child has with us. So my 8-year-old, for a while, I was raising him with the same techniques my parents raised me. And I didn't turn out well. I had to figure my shit out for a long time. And most of it boiled down to me not having a connection with my parents because I was one of 8. So, like, my parents didn't have time. And then my dad was always gone. So I got to experience these things as it was, like, on the decline, if you will, because I experienced these things in the early 2000s. Now it's rampant. Like, my story back then was kind of rare, but now it's rampant. And it all goes back to us pulling our parents away from their children, not being able to have secure attachments with adults, and allowing our children to raise children. And when you have children raise children, you're having people figure out these extreme emotions without any guidance from anybody. And coming from someone who had to do that, it only leads to violence, aggression, depression, suicide. And then it's all masked as mental illness. And what blows my mind is when I actually started to love myself and take care of my emotions and self-regulate and become aware of my ADHD and my autism and not take a bunch of antipsychotics, my life changed. And the more I saw the way I parented my son, the more I was like, this is what put me in this place. How do I change? And it's about that attachment.
He just said something very important. There's the medication and all this type of stuff. There was a lot of things implemented years ago. But I'm the second of 13.
Nice.
It was normal to be, as the older child, to take on this responsibility. It was a normal thing. It wasn't seen. I couldn't go to my parents and say, them your kids. That's what they can do nowadays. These ain't my kids, they your kids. I ain't watching them, and walk right out.
Right.
That wasn't a thing.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So we were forced to be in a situation. Also, when I was a child, we were able to roam free. The difference is it was a punishment for us to be inside.
Yep.
See, things are reversed.
It was
now
like that when I was a kid, too.
Yeah, I think so too. That was
be,
like, we were like the last generation where like going outside was more of a benefit than being
So
inside.
the one of 8, my brother was 86 and the youngest was 99. And literally they have a completely different childhood than we did. Because and I have a different childhood than my older brother did. All drastically different just because of technological advances.
See, we didn't have none. We were so happy when the phone didn't have a cord. We got the one with the antenna.
And that's why I am the way I am with technology, especially with my son, because not only does it release so much dopamine, it's considered a drug. It allows space for connection. And that's what our kids desire most. And the less they have it, the more unstable their emotions get and the more able they're consumed by a word and the rage and all of those things that have been basically suppressed to survive around their parents, because a lot of parents don't know how to deal with hardcore emotions because we stopped teaching this stuff somewhere in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and then not to mention, like, you don't know what your kid does online. The way they have access to a bunch of good material, they also have access to extremist material. So them to access people who have very fringe ideas is now just as accessible as anything else.
There's one thing that's common no matter when you were born, if you were born in the early 1900s or you were just born last year. We have been conditioned and prone in our society to tell people that certain things aren't real. We kill creativity at birth. We don't acknowledge it. We don't promote it.
Shit,
we
the
don't
second you get
nurture
pregnant.
it. We don't push it. We tell kids you don't have an imaginary friend. Stop doing that. That's not what we're doing. You're going to do this, this, and this. They're in a whole nother world. They see something that very few of us get to see as we get older.
Yeah.
Some of us, like, I enjoy my life because of that. I get to write a movie. I get to be this character, this character, this character, this character. Well, all this was already in my imagination.
Yes.
My imagination has just been suppressed. We've been trained since pre-K, since before that, to go into a room, sit there. Somebody's going to talk to us, tell us what to do. We're going to get a break. We're going to raise our hand to go pee. We're going to wait till they tell us we're hungry and this is our lunchtime. We're going to raise our hand again. Then they're going to give us the time to go home.
Yep.
And this is conditioned.
Yep.
So-
We're just beaten down by structural
And
lies.
so you're
Gaber Mate. Have you ever heard of Gaber Mate?
Yes.
His book, Myth of Normal. It literally breaks down how our society has built a society around neglecting the needs of our children and our families, and it all comes down to that. Like we crush the instincts and the intuitive nature of our being, the natural order.
Right. Natural order.
Right. And that's one of those things that I love about being an actor, because I feel like we're one of the few professions that allows us to still play in that sense, because everyone else is kind of like, once you pass around the 7 and 8, 9, they tell you even like, stop playing with these stuff and stuff.
Yeah, don't play with those toys.
Don't play with
them. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're too old for that.
Right, too old for that.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to freaking get my son to play with as many toys as he can because they're just sitting in a box.
Right. Because that inspires stuff, because they're not, it's different from a video game when there's like a structural narrative. You get to create your own narrative, and that creates the creativity.
Well, most kids don't even like to play with toys. That's what everybody fails to realize. Most children, you show them this shiny thing, when you open that box, that's what they're going to play with. The box.
Yep. He's absolutely right, man. He's absolutely right.
They're
Everything.
going to play the box.
Yeah.
But we tell them, what are you doing? Put that box down. I just got you this. I just got you this. And this is what I want you to do.
Let me take you out of your creative mode.
Yeah.
And make you do what I want you to do.
I spent $75 on this. You're not going to play with the box.
Correct.
And so they're sitting there going, but the box is my spaceship.
Yeah.
The box is my big truck.
Yeah.
God, you're literally quoting my kid right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a reality. It's just something it gets stolen from us, man, and then we wonder where our society goes away. We made our society this way.
Because we don't see anything outside of the normal as even feasible anymore. Which, if you think about it, every
You're pumped
great
up with fear.
Yeah, exactly. Every great thinker is remembered because of they are able to push that boundary.
And like that was a big thing in my life. Like I just quit Publix in October of last year because I see the world so differently now. And it's like, I do only live once. And I'm not wasting my life.
You only die once. You live every day if you allow yourself to. Most people are just surviving.
I like that correction. Thank you, sir.
I agree with that 100%.
And I'm not wasting my time making somebody else's life become a dream.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm making my dream.
Yeah. There's a huge difference between living and existing.
Yeah.
100%.
And you could see it in people's eyes.
Most of us are survivors, and we were taught to be survivors. Once you start living, you get a freedom.
Right.
It's a freedom of people seeing you, and some people get really jealous. Some people get hateful. They're like, "How is it that you can live so free?" I don't see the world the way you see it.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm not going to worry about every step and every moment about something they told me I need to worry about. I don't care.
And even when I do get caught up in it, it's like a realization. It's like, oh shit, I'm getting caught up in it.
It's built for you to get caught up in. They're going to press you.
Exactly.
That's why they make these calls. You owe us. I don't owe you shit. There, how about that?
And it's just so liberating.
Yeah.
Like
We'll both be surprised when you get that payment, bud. What? We'll both be surprised when you get that payment. Call me back when you get it. Or I'm going to call you. I'm calling them back. Hello? I know y'all going to call me today. I know you're going to call me. So I just want to call y'all first. Yeah, I owe y'all. All right. Talk to y'all later. I'm not going to let you stress me.
No.
Because it's something you want to do and add interest to something in my life. Go, do something with yourself. Yeah.
And that stuff like bitterness and anger and stuff like that only hurts yourself at the end of the day. It feels almost like, it feels kind of pointless to carry it the entire time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people start at the beginning of the month. As soon as they pay rent, they go, damn, I got to pay rent next month. How am I going to do that? Yeah. And they spend the entire time working instead of, or focusing on that instead of focusing on how to find a solution.
Right.
Most people focus on their problems in life because we give ourselves problems in life. But we can't see a solution.
Yeah.
Because we don't see anything outside of what they taught us.
Right. Well, that's the thing that also Joseph brought is like there is a huge fear, especially today, as prices of everything goes higher, to be able to homelessness is like around like 2 paychecks away.
Why is that in our society? They make that a fear. They destroy jobs. They wouldn't let people out their houses all over the country for years. Control everything moving. So rent's gone up, food's gone up, gas has gone up.
Right.
Hell, breathing has gone up, but paychecks haven't.
Yep.
Why is that? It's to put the haves and the have-nots real separate.
Right.
But it also comes back to like us buying this illusion that they're selling, that we need all of these things to make us happy. We need that nice car. We need that nice job. We need that nice house. Like, I've been homeless. We don't need any of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
We just need ourselves and basically food. But like, I learned how to hunt. I learned how to like grow food. Like, I know how to be self-sufficient if ever given the opportunity.
So why is it that you can't collect rainwater? You can't fish without a license. You can't go hunting without a license.
You can collect rainwater, by the way.
In certain places, but most places it's illegal.
It's not in Florida. I looked it up.
Okay.
I did make sure because I heard the same thing.
Well, in most states
but it is bullshit about everything else.
Oh
you
yeah,
said.
I used to have a buddy of mine who was a fisherman, and he got frustrated because of the government bureaucracy that's behind it. They have access.
You're going to catch certain fish.
Yeah.
Then you're going to do this on this day, only this on this day.
Yep.
If you catch this, you're going
It
to.
doesn't stop me from hunting gators though.
We're gonna X that part out. He likes to follow them. He likes to just follow them and like track them.
I know you're from New York and stuff like that, but that was the most Florida thing I've heard all day.
That's because my brother-in-law taught me. He's born and raised Florida.
Hey, you know what though? I do need some gator skin for the boots.
He's got some. But seriously,
we'll talk about that later. We're just joking.
This is
No
real.
alligators were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Yeah, which is all fun
Yeah.
and games.
Fun games.
But gator meat is good.
Honestly,
It is
I
very
had
good.
it. Like it's like chicken, but it has like a little texture of fish. The way I've seen it.
I fried it, and yeah, so good. So
Okay,
good.
yeah. See, that's our freedom. We like gator, and we're gonna tell you we like gator.
And I'm gonna apply for a license
Yeah.
to legally hunt them.
Yes,
This is-
and we're gonna collect tags. Okay, thank you.
This has
You can
become the
only collect
Florida episode.
One tag a year. You can only collect one tag a year.
You know, I think that's the craziest. While we're on that topic, just not to venture off too far,
no,
right?
no.
But if a gator is coming at me, right? I'm on my land, right? Got my pistol on my hip because you got all kind of animals and things running around, right? I'm supposed to stand there or run in a zigzag. Gators run fast as hell.
Oh yeah.
I don't run that fast, right? And so if I don't do all this ducking and dodging and it catches me, I can't shoot it. I'm supposed to wait for it to eat me. And then my family, and then hold on, then the government's gonna come and put it together and kill it.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna have to explain this shit to me. I can't kill it. I can get eaten, but then once it eat me,
Yeah.
you gonna come kill it.
But someone could trespass in your yard, and you can then defend yourself
Then
in
I
that
can shoot
manner.
them.
Yeah, as long as it's not a gator, though.
Right. It can't be
I
a
think
gator.
you're fine. I think you do what you need to do.
Oh, I will. I'm just saying. We're gonna have a barbecue today, but
My brain says I don't care what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
no, we're gonna definitely have a barbecue. But
Yeah, smoked gator is really good too.
yeah.
My brother-in-law did that too, and it was very
see,
good.
I love this freedom.
The freedom to eat gator.
The freedom to eat gator, the freedom to think about it. Most people tell you don't think that.
You want to hear some crazy stuff? Sandhill
that-
cranes. You know, sandhill cranes. We're the only state that it's illegal to hunt, and apparently they are the ribeye of the sky.
Really?
I heard that. Because like I'm into like being self-sufficient and like hunting.
You said the ribeye of the sky.
The
That's what he
Ribeye
said. The
of
ribeye
the
is
sky.
That's his own tagline on it too.
No, it was a reel. We saw a reel. But yeah, the only state that you can't hunt, and apparently they're delicious.
He's like, I know what I'm doing after this.
Dude, they eat out of your. I don't think I could kill one. Like
Right.
just because they're so like
Yeah.
docile.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Gators are a little different. You get scared of that.
Yeah. Honestly, when it comes to hunting, I would feel like I have a
I'm about
hard
to say
time.
deer. I was just gonna say a lot of things, but I'm gonna leave it all.
But deer like run from you. Like they're a little harder to catch. Like they're not as like dumbfounded.
The dodo bird didn't stand a chance.
Exactly.
That's why there's zero.
That's why they're probably
Yeah.
illegal to hunt in Florida.
Well, they're all dead.
They're all dead.
You know the Sandhill cranes. Got it. That's funny though. How did we get on food?
Yeah.
My bad.
But you know what? That is something that's so serious because, like you said, you want to get one tag a year. All these things,
Control.
All these things are being controlled by an outside force to gain money and prevent you from living. So you have to depend on them.
Correct.
Right.
And So, I mean, gator, it's a reptile. It's, oh my God, they're, like you said, they're aggressive, but you can't touch them.
And they're a nuisance.
Right.
Like, they're everywhere.
But I tell you what, you can get you some iguanas
You can?
because they said
South
so.
Florida, especially.
Yeah, oh yeah, they pay you to hunt them.
Oh, shit. Can you eat them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they
People
good?
do.
Have you had
During
them?
wintertime, they just fall out of trees and shit like that.
Yeah, hey, look, no,
That was
I
the most
haven't had it.
nightmare feel I ever felt. Because I was just sitting in a chair and stuff like that. And one just like, boom.
Dang, that's good. You were there? Like, you had
I
one
was,
following you?
yeah. Because especially around like Boca Raton and stuff like that, around the wintertime, they just freeze up and they fall like that.
And
You know,
if
gators do the same thing, though. Like, if they're in a frozen pond, they'll, like,
well, yeah, they just sit.
yeah, it's so cool. That shit amazes me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But again, it's all a control, man, and it's to prevent you from living. You know, and this is by the same people who took everything by force to create how you're supposed to live, and can tell you that you cannot be, you can be homeless, but you cannot be broke,
Right.
or you're breaking the law.
It's funny that you say that, too, because, like, I was homeless, but I was still working a full-time job. I was trying to get myself into better places. So it, like, yeah, if I was homeless, like, didn't have a job, smelled, and everything, I would have probably not been able to do half the stuff that I did.
Well, a lot. There used to be certain vagrancy laws, and they still apply in a lot of places. You have to. You can be homeless, but you have to have X amount of money in your pocket.
Yep. Can't even sleep in your car.
You can't
Stuff
sleep
like
in your
that.
car.
Yep.
You can't.
It's your property.
You're right. So, I mean, and then raise everything. So it's population control. It's people control. It's life control.
Yep.
It messes with people's health and mental health. And then they tell you, oh, we got a solution for that too. So every other day there's a new anxiety that comes up. They got a pill for you.
They got a pill for everything at this
They
point.
got something for you.
And it all comes back to that desire to be comfortable.
Yeah.
The more comfortable we desire to be, the more miserable our lives will become.
And usually all those pills, they have what? They either have side effects that wind up being worse than that, or they create a dependency on it, the way your body needs
And they tell you
and
can't
requires
quit.
it. Yep.
Well,
My experience with antipsychotics was the more I took the antipsychotics and like would try to get off of them, the more bipolar I appeared. And then the more bipolar I appeared, the more everybody told me. So the more I believed it. And then here's this sick cycle of me not even believing in myself and my abilities because of a medication that is now making me feel and appear to be this disease that they said I had. Meanwhile, 8 years later, I haven't had medicine and I've felt the best in my life. Like, I haven't been on antipsychotics or antidepressants, and I have never felt more clear, more confident. Of course, there's bouts of depression and like anxiety.
that's called being human.
Correct.
Right.
And that's called feeling the things that you're supposed to feel when life happens.
Right, because I feel like there's a huge difference from being like depressed than just having depression or to be anxious, because that's a part of being human is to be anxious. I mean,
It can happen for
anytime-
good things.
Yeah.
Good things are the same as it can happen for bad things.
Right.
You can be,
But we're instantly have this idea of just like, all right, you have anxious, you have anxiety. They put you in a box and they have all the prescriptions all ready for you. I know you mentioned about being homeless, Joseph, and that was the interesting part I was thinking about is how did that change your view on humanity? Because the way we see like homelessness, like people passing by, there's almost like there's a more of an avoidance, and there's an automatic fear or mistrust.
It's a prejudice.
It's a strong prejudice, exactly. And at the end of the day, these people are just trying to live their lives.
So there's a couple stages of it, actually. When I was going through it, and I was like, there was also a couple stages of homelessness, because it was about 3 years of either couch surfing or having to take antipsychotics to live with my parents. So when I got sick of that cycle, I said, fuck it, grabbed the tent, went in the middle of the woods, worked my job, try to like control who I was as a human being. How do I get myself out of this situation? In the sense of, I was spending money on drugs, not on food. I was spending money on like ridiculous things instead of saving for bills. So like I was down to the basics. I tried to teach myself how to prioritize my own needs. And I did that in a tent. So for the first couple years after that, like after I was able to find a place to live and do things like that, I had this view of, it's your choice to live like this. You could fix yourself if you want to. Kind of like a turned off, like, I know if you wanted to get out of this, you could. So do it, essentially. Very ignorant almost. But now, as I've become way more spiritual and way more trying to help my community, I'm super empathetic, and it hurts. to see people, and sometimes I try to do as much as I can, but knowing that me working on myself and bettering my own self will in return help these people, because my whole goal is to build a team that have tools to create connection, because you can't help people in those situations without connection. We expect psychiatry to help and therapy to help, but there's no connection. So how are any of these aspects going to help when you're not trusted or you're being forced to? So like when I talk about a team meeting people where they're at, it means building these prevention, these I forgot what they were called. Risk prevention, I think. Like, so basically clean needles, therapy, but like also meeting them where they're at and treating them like human beings first, and creating almost a relationship that like sparks their own desire to be better.
Right.
Because everybody tells them they're not.
Right.
And to be treated like a human being
Right.
is all anybody fucking wants.
And the most interesting thing about it is like, to bring about what Will said, is like we have all these government structures and regulations and what to do and not to do that. However, when we are in a bad moment and when even though we follow all these rules and we're just in a part of desperation, we just get ignored.
Right.
And that's what it is. How can we call ourselves either like the richest, most powerful country, and then we have people who are living in third world conditions?
Mother Teresa said it great in the freaking, I think it was 50s or 60s. She says, we may be the richest country in the world, but we are the poorest in spirit.
Right.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you can't even help people. Even if you have the right mind, like say I want to go feed people.
This is what pissed me off.
They're going to push me and arrest me for helping.
Yeah.
They're going to deter
illegal.
me. Like I wrote on my arm many years ago, sometimes you find yourself in the middle of nowhere, and sometimes in the middle of nowhere you find yourself.
I love that.
You know, and it's one of the deepest things I write on myself, because every time I take a shower, I get to look at me.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody's gone through things in their life, but I've couch surfed. I've been in positions. I've been in some really messed up positions, and you go, damn, man. But you find your way out if you know, but it takes a clarity of mind.
Right.
And a thirst for truth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think I would have gotten out of that if I didn't have such a desire for truth. And like
Solitude is another thing, man.
Yeah.
You do have to go away from everything that's causing it.
There's almost like a spiritual feeling in that when someone just has hope. Because hope is not built at the end of the day on anything scientific.
Hope
it's
is
just
broken.
the idea.
it's faith.
It's
But
faith.
why is it broken down so much if it wasn't so strong?
Right.
Why do they try and take hope from everybody? Why do they try and
Well,
diminish?
because our thoughts are powerful.
Our words, our thoughts, our ideology is powerful.
It's the idea of
Magic.
always wanting to be more, just to get out of this is the idea of hope, which is like, I feel like that's something that like, when it comes to spirituality, people in this point of time are more looking for someone inward versus to find something. In other words, like people are more looking for inner spirituality versus to go into an organized religion.
Dude, just like on my other arm, it says, success is not measured by one's possessions, but rather the ability to overcome adversity. It sets you apart when you separate your mind from what the world gives you. It's easy for us to, you know, when I was younger, oh my God, I need a car with big rims. I need to show somebody something instead of showing me. Instead of me showing me and me being me, I felt the need to prove to the world, like many of us do.
It's built on status.
You know, and people say, oh, I can't wait till I get up so I can go prove this to them.
Right.
Everybody, all the naysayers, I want to prove, instead of looking at ourselves and smiling, saying, every morning I get up and I look in the mirror and I say, I love you. You know?
See, I have a practice every morning, and it's just being 16 minutes of just being grateful and thankful for the blessings, the abundance, the love, like the community, like, because there's always two sides of the spectrum, and we will manifest whatever we focus our attention on.
Because the mind tricks itself.
Right. But
That's
you
why we
said
have
You said it
placebos.
earlier, you're like, you know, I have to find me. I want to be able to help everybody, but I know I have to help me. You can't love anybody or anything without loving yourself. And it's so easy for us to be hard on ourselves. Instead of practicing love for ourselves, we practice hate for ourselves.
And having a kid, you see how you hate yourself. And oh my God, it was mind blowing, because it's like I'm yelling at my kid for personality traits that I was yelled at. then you're forced to face that, and it's like, shit, I have to love myself in order to love my son.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a beautiful thing to happen, but
It's very rare that it happens.
Yeah.
Most of us are conditioned and we believe whatever we did was right. Like my dad would tell me, I know I was a little hard on you. No, you fucked me up. But,
same, man.
you know what I mean? He's like, and that's his perception of it. You know, it's like, well, it's all I knew. It's like,
And I'm still fucking him up.
But then it
Like,
makes you wonder, how was your father raised by his grandfather? Was it
That's
just
how-
something just like passed down?
generational.
Yeah.
It is generational.
Yeah.
We only do what we know, which is why I'm such an advocate for learning, because the only way out of situations, and cyclical ones for that, is to learn more about yourself and how to get out of these situations with your own mind, not with things externally, but through internal means.
Yeah.
helping others and feeling that need to help others and see each other as human beings and see each person as a person, that changes the narrative. That's how we break cycles. That's how we recreate life. I came up in the projects in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the 70s and 80s. So, needless to say, a lot of we were talking earlier, history repeats itself. Huge drug epidemics, huge this, huge that. It all repeats itself. Well, when I was coming, I've survived through several of them. But anyway, that was the crack epidemic.
Right.
It was brutal. It didn't care about children. It didn't care about old people. It didn't care.
No.
It was brutal.
It was almost like a plague.
It was savage. And I've grown to see, of course, I've been not in the streets and been not hanging out, but then all of a sudden you see fentanyl and different things.
Yeah.
But, and it's
New generation.
It's a repeat, And the only way to get out of this is for us to allow our children to be creative and for us to be creative ourselves and for us to be free spirits and not
And love.
Yeah.
and love. Love allows us not to be conditioned by hate. We don't even realize we're being conditioned by hate by watching certain media outlets and certain this and certain that. We don't realize we're saying they shouldn't be here, or they shouldn't be here, or that's that, or that's that. We don't realize we're condemning and judging because it's so normal.
Yep.
Because tribalism is almost built into ourselves at the end of
And
the
it feels
day.
good.
Yeah, of course.
So
Like,
when
it
you
feels
stand
Because
up-
it gives us a sense of identity.
But when you stand on the outside of that and you speak up for what, it's truly honorable. There's no flat line about it. It's truly honorable. When you stand up for that, you're the outcast because society is built a certain way.
Right.
So if I say, like I was saying earlier, it's wrong to take children away from their parents because you deemed the parent illegal or this or that. You just separated the family, stole their child, and gave their child away to foster care or whatever you did.
Right.
A traumatizing system.
It doesn't make it right because you made that law right. That's what, again, where it goes. Well, why would laws change if they were all perfect? Why are they changing every 2 years? Because somebody saw a huge flaw in what the hell they were doing. You see what I'm saying? And that's something that's not recognized. It's more and more so nowadays, which is, I guess, is a benefit to sensitivity.
Also, laws are very subjective. Like people think like.
Someone keep an eye on each other.
Well, no. What I mean is like they're very
It depends on who the hell you are if that law applies.
no,
It depends on what color your skin is. It depends on how old are you. It depends on where you at the right time. It depends on if the judge know you.
No,
It depends on
dude.
if all the law enforcement in the town is your college friends.
I'm talking about when they're written. Like when they're written, they're based on the knowledge that
thought
we
Danny
have
thought
at the
the
time.
same
They're based on those 89-year-old guys that are sitting there in Congress,
Yeah.
and those people that have lost so much touch they don't know what a grocery bill is. The people who
Right.
never put gas in their own car. People who have already hated people for their skin color, their facial appearance, their
Subjective.
gender.
Yep.
Yeah, subjective as hell.
Yep.
Yeah, the subject should not be you. Otherwise, we have a subject. He's about 5 foot tall to 6'9", dark to light skin. He has short to bald head. I think he might even have braids or dreads. Yeah, he speaks. I don't know if it's English. I don't know. He speaks a language. Yeah, he has on some shoes, pants, long to shorts, t-shirt to long sleeve. He might be wearing a suit. He's black, damn it. Just arrest him. It's subjective. Yeah, you're right. It's subjective as hell. I love that. Laws are subjective. Don't be the subject of the law. Thank you.
I like that twist on it. I'm going to stick with that. Everything he said was perfect.
Oh, God. Subjective. I like that, though. I'm going to use that.
I mean, they're definitely written with
Yeah.
not
Bias?
the people in mind.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's made by people who we know at the end of the day. I mean,
are
Like
so.
you said, they didn't grow up like we
But
did.
I'm not talking about even like ancient laws, like not ancient laws, but laws that we've had since the beginning of the country.
Right,
Like,
they're all set by certain people for certain boundaries. Our laws are created for those who make money to make money to continue to make money. For those who don't make any money, not to make any money and stay oppressed and be the workers for those who are making money. If you don't have workers, you don't have rich.
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the founding fathers, stuff like that, they were like intellectuals. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, they were also the elites.
They were also criminals from another country. They were also rapists, murderers, thieves, pillagers from another country. Let us not forget this.
Right.
Our founding fathers were released from prisons from other countries, Australia, Britain. They were released from various prisons, and here they landed. They landed with a certain intent. To colonize and for their population to be able to have another place to stay.
Right.
That's what they wanted. That's what they created. So none of this was created to be fair for citizens. Matter of fact, if you were here, or even if you weren't, and you tried to build your home, if they wanted that home,
it was theirs.
It was theirs, and they didn't. It was nothing fair about it. There still isn't. People get murdered all the time. Same thing for these big projects, or they build the projects around them, and you see a little house with a huge luxury apartment, mall, everything right around that little house, and they try to smother them out. There's still nothing fair about it. There's still nothing, but it's legal. Why it's legal? Because people writing the laws are the same ones breaking the laws. They make the laws. Yeah. So the laws can't be broken if they make them. They change.
It's almost a thing of being like, do we have these certain people that we idealize and we view? Because at the end of the day, even like the people that we praise the most have a bunch of flaws, and sometimes to the degree of being like, were they nice people even to begin with? And it's one of those things that we wonder, like, should we have though something like a symbol like how Superman is in another way, being like something that we aspire to be, and sometimes I feel like people omit these sorts of things because they just want to have the idea of the perfect person to aspire to be.
Right.
Well, something I'm learning myself is like a perfect person doesn't exist. And like with loving myself, it's loving the dark aspects as much as the light aspects that have created a whole person. Like the more we try to become a perfect person, the more obsessed and consumed with whatever we're trying to perfect controls our life. So I'm a perfect example. Like I always ran away from the hard feelings that I felt, and I ran away from trauma that I experienced. Like I never faced it because it was an ugly part of me. I didn't want to look at it, and we don't want to see ugly parts of people. But the fucking truth is, we exist in black and white together. Like it is a non-dualistic existence that we experience. We cannot have good without the bad, and we cannot have bad without the good, and they exist inside of us both. And without that awareness, it's a game of tug of war.
I honestly feel sometimes that it's almost better to know like sometimes the bad things that a person has within them, because it's almost like, do you respect more someone who's purely good, or do you respect someone who, despite the flaws that they had internally, were able to create something greater?
I'm going to say both equally, because I think there's a huge misconception. I think we're born pure and innocent, and we fight ourselves based off an unrealistic setting. Most of us try and be something that's not real. Money's not real. Right. Gold is not worth anything. That nice table over there, because they made it out of some rock that they got out the ground, is not worth anything. They gave it a value to make themselves feel better. We all came with something unique, and that's the beauty of us. We were taught, again, that's not right, you're not worth it, and we tend to believe it growing up, and that's how we become. But in essence, we're all chasing a false narrative. We're all trying to be rich like that dude on the hill. We all want a big-ass house like that with so many rooms, we don't even go to each room. Why? Because it's what we've been programmed to want. In essence, we've had everything we ever needed, and we're a perfect society just working together. But our thing is we're competing, and we're being told we need to do this, we've been told we need to do that. So now we're losing while competing, because we're spending all our money trying to hang out with the Joneses over here, and the Joneses not even real. We all go in that same damn pine box. Yep. That's it. That's just simply it. I think it's just a huge misconception, and we're being trained and programmed so that we don't listen because somebody else wants to feel better about themselves.
And that's how it is. Thank you guys so much for joining the podcast.
Dude, it was
Thank you for
great
having us.
meeting
Yeah, it was
you,
great.
man. It was awesome. Like,
We definitely need a part 2 on this because I feel like we
definitely-
delved in some stuff that's really cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Gentlemen, if you guys have any plugs, feel free to put it out now.
Oh man, I just want to thank you first of all for having me, man. You guys can hit me up, man, on my Instagram, DUBLE75. Double up 75. DUBLEUP 75. Other than that, you hit me up on YouTube, anything, everywhere. WE Osley and 3. There you go.
Everything is on my Instagram, and thank you, sir, for having me. I really enjoyed it. My Instagram is unconventional_existence, spelled EXSISTENCE, because the way it's supposed to be spelled was taken.
Okay.
It's like, I'm still fucking salty.
Hey, look, I'm gonna have to read that at the bottom of the screen, folks.
Exactly. I'm sorry about that, people.
We'll put in the description, it should have been this. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. And thank you guys for watching.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.